Pate, the king of Anjou, the troll master, date analyzing, and just of his own fate. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Terminator. Ooh-wee, the cleaner. And no, we're not talking about the cleaners for Back for Blood or the cleaners for the Division. We're talking about the cleaner, the ultimate cleaner, John Gotti.
Wow. I'm just a humble advocate for my tribal chief, always tranquilo, Doc El Idolo. And as the special advisor of my tribal chief, Doc El Idolo, I have to let the folks know that the curse of Doc is in full effect, but we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Facts.
Today, it's dark. Well, it's actually pretty bright outside for me, but
It is pretty bright.
it's
It's okay.
the dark side of the ring. Luna Vachon, Doc. I was anticipating this episode. I couldn't wait to watch it. I know, I hyped it up pretty well for you. Did it live up to the hype? Tell the people your thoughts. The floor is yours.
Um, it was a little milder than I anticipated. It was good, like really good. But it was a little mild. It was milder. Um, learned some things, right? Some things you kind of already knew. Obviously, I didn't know how deep, the well ran on her character and how deep she fell into the character. And you see that like today, especially there's so much behind the scenes. I think she would never get a chance to. I don't think anybody would get a chance to really fall into the character so deep now because there's so much behind the scenes work. Um, and I just think that it's easier to break character now than it was before because kayfabe was so alive at that particular time.
Well, I mean, kayfabe was wrestling back in the day. Like
Yeah,
I would say, it was at least 40% of what wrestling was, and I think kayfabe today is more 3%.
yeah, big time 3%. And I always tell that story of that time I seen the Undertaker in the airport, and it's like, oh, I'm not going over there to the Undertaker. That's the freaking Undertaker. And my friend went over there, and he ignored the crap out of her, as only the Undertaker would. Not Mark Calloway. It's the freaking Undertaker. So, um, I
Oh.
couldn't imagine somebody going up to Luna, at that time, and it's like, yikes. But I will say, I knew this kid looked familiar, and I'm seeing it now.
Mhm.
Her son Van Herd. I was like, man, that guy looks so familiar. He's not a wrestler, and then he said he was a chef, and I was like, I feel like I've seen that guy somewhere. He's from freaking Hell's Kitchen,
Yep.
and I was like, now we're getting somewhere. I knew I've seen that guy somewhere before, but we had
Don't
her
you love how
son.
small the world can definitely
Oh
be?
man, yeah, yeah. So we have her son Van Her. You had Gangrel on there. You had the hardcore legend, Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Mick Foley. Obviously, you had Paul the Butcher, Vachon, which we're gonna get into that. But then we had a lot of female wrestlers that some of them I heard of, some of them I wish I heard of.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, and this
but
goes back down to how the territories are.
right, but I guess we had to start from the beginning, right? Um, with the losing of her father. Should we just start right there with the losing of her biological father, or should we
Hmm.
go in a different direction here?
No, no,
How
that's pretty much where
crazy?
the story began
Yeah, how crazy? Because at first I was like,
for young
what?
Gertrude.
Oh goodness! Don't say Gertrude.
Hey,
Not
that's
even
her.
can't even
That is
can't
her
even
legal name.
can't even say Trudy, right?
Yikes.
Can't even say Trudy. But yeah, so they were at a hotel. Her biological mother, the biological father, and a young Gertrude at a hotel that the family owned. Paul heard a gunshot, gun goes off. He's like, "Oh, I don't see anything," which, normally, you hear a gunshot, you might, I don't know. I mean, I know I wouldn't peek out the door, but I feel like somebody would peek out the door or whatever. But to hear a gunshot and then have a person knock at your door and like, "Hey, my husband just, killed himself," which is very, very tragic.
Hmm.
Um, and then he didn't even really kind of go over how, that relationship was built. It was kind of just like in the
It
story.
was yeah, it was a prelude to him
Yeah,
marrying the
right. And I'm
mom.
like, bro, like the way it sounded, you know where I'm going with this. The way it sounded was like, hey, he killed himself, and then I married her like that next day. You know what I'm saying? Like it sounded so crazy,
I
but I know
think
it
it's
didn't happen
because of
like that.
how vague it was that can lead to that
Yeah.
conclusion.
Oh my god, like it was like really, really vague, but
I'm gonna give
nonetheless,
the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't
absolutely,
like that, and I'm pretty sure it
absolutely.
probably wasn't like that. But of course, you're asking someone to recollect, you know, something that occurred almost 50
Yeah,
years ago. So
that's true too. That's true too.
actually, a little
So,
bit more than 50 years ago, probably.
I mean, yeah. So obviously, young Gertrude becomes a Vachon, right? That's the only family she knows. That's the biological father that she knows. She's a Vachon now, right? So it kind of, skips forward to her, being on the road with her aunt,
Hmm.
cleaning up after her, doing the old, hey, I want to be like you. So what do
I
you
am
do, right?
surprised you didn't do a Aunt Viv joke in there.
Nah, we ain't doing that.
Okay.
We ain't doing it. Just not doing it. Just can't do it. Can't do it. So, here she is, right? Cleaning up, making sure her aunt Viv has a, you know, good experience, putting her rollers in her hair, picking up all the stuff and she's like, "Hey, I want to do this," right? Which I wish I would have heard of, Aunt Viv, right? I never even really heard of, some of these wrestlers again. Like I just never heard of them. But it's like you said, the territories, obviously TV wasn't there just yet. And we weren't really hearing about it. And it's so funny. And I laughed a little bit.
Hmm.
And I know I'm probably skipping ahead just a little bit, but it's so funny when I heard the name Sullivan.
Yes.
I said, "Oh my God, it's Kevin Sullivan. Oh my God, it's a young Booker man." So I started laughing immediately at a young Booker man
And a young Nancy, too.
and a young Nancy out here just booking it up to a point where people are terrified in Florida. He's scaring the people. And then you add Luna, who was a newscaster, which is genius.
Yeah. It's building into the characters that are just
Oh man,
throwing it out there.
pure genius. Who you think you are? Red
Well,
Fox?
and they,
Oh no,
and they
you must be
talked
Richard.
about how brilliant Kevin Sullivan's mind was as far as
Hmm.
his creativity, and a lot of people would talk about Bray Wyatt in the same light as far
Sure.
as just how creative and how far they could try to tilt that needle. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, you skipped over a major part.
I did, and I was just
And
about to go back to it. Um, I assume you're talking about what happened with the fabulous Moolah,
of course,
which again we heard in the previous, no, not the previous. I believe it was 2 shows ago with Chris Canyon. He said he trained with the fabulous Moolah, right? And it was one of them situations where you don't. I guess he would have had a different experience than she would have, and this was years ago, right?
of course,
Um,
this is a
so
totally different time at that point.
but of course, this is allegedly, right? She sent her to this guy to take pictures, and he tries to rape her.
It's
Which
really hard to take it as allegedly
okay,
because it's not like it's the first type of story in this regards.
So I mean, you would have to fill me in and enlighten me
Like
because
this specific one is
mhm,
pretty, unique,
right.
but there has been a lot of stories, and we're going back to um the Fabulous Moolah episode. We're going to There was another episode too where they talked about it as well, with Rock and Robin,
Okay, okay.
and basically Moolah was being a pimp and pimping out the girls,
Oh man,
and it
that's so
led to the whole, oh, we're gonna do the Moolah, memorial, and then they had to axe that real fast.
I mean, like I said, I just that's the kind of stuff that I wish I could. That's dark side. You know what I'm saying? Like that in a
The
nutshell is dark side.
the problem is it can get so much darker.
That's what I'm saying. So, but think about it like this: we sat here, right? We sat here and we cancel Ric Flair, right?
Moolah got canceled first, by the way.
Okay, I want to make sure because I don't think I didn't think we were canceling people back then. You
Well,
know,
Moolah didn't get canceled until WWE did the Battle Royal announcement.
ah,
Yeah,
so
that
that's
was, you really gonna celebrate this? Like, she was an absolute monster.
and that's so crazy, and that's the story that Dark Side of the Ring needs to unveil the wild trainings of Moolah or whatever, training with Moolah or something like that. I want to know it. I want the whole story. You know, if she was this bad. I want all the nitty gritty. You know what I'm saying? But um, they probably won't do it while she's alive. I assume that's usually how a lot of these things work. I mean, a couple people are alive, but usually those kind of stories don't come out until people can't defend themselves, which is the unfortunate part. But she probably won't make any comments anyway.
Who?
Moolah.
How could she make comments if she's passed away?
She passed away?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just what's the name who
The
passed away?
Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal.
Oh no, I thought she. No, 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 no. I thought it was.
No,
I
it
thought it
was
was
this
the.
huge thing, and there's all this fan. Doc,
No,
we
I did
talked
not. I
about
thought.
this.
No, 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 no. I did not know. I thought it was the other one that passed away.
No,
Okay.
she passed away in 2007.
Dang, Johnny. Oh my God. That's on me. Is what's her name still alive? May Young is who I was thinking of.
I believe Mae Young passed away later.
Yeah, she did. Oh my God. Dang. Yeah, I had no idea.
Wow. Yeah, she passed
Oh,
away 24. Wow, Doc.
okay. So
You
that
really
that's
got
on
your
me. I did.
no.
I did. I really did. So yeah, we need to hear
No.
that. We need to see it then.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
it
need to.
was a lot of stories in Dark Side of the Ring about Moolah.
Yeah, we need that, man. We need all of that. That's on me. I'm again. Time is just rolling. I'm not even paying attention. Dang,
Yeah, they did
2007
an
and
episode for Fabulous
2014.
Moolah back in season one. That's what I'm like. They already did an episode for Moolah, but you're talking about doing a much more deeper
Dive
insight
into.
into how she
Yeah,
was as far as training the late. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that.
I
I
can
don't think an
understand that.
hour is long enough for that. Heck, I don't even think a two-part episode is long enough for that.
Yikes.
Like
But
the amount of
but
skeletons in that closet.
right. But it's okay. I mean, I'm caught up now. I'm sorry, I was a little behind, a decade and a half behind. But we're back. So we go back to Luna here, who at this point, you know, she's taking a lot of pills. She's doing a lot of drugs. Um, you know, it's a lot going on, especially at this particular time. And then at this particular point, you know, some people were saying that she was taking 100 pills a day,
Hmm.
and that possibly she was raped more than once at this particular point.
Unfortunately,
Uh,
this goes into how the wrestling landscape was, and it's not us defending it whatsoever. It's absolutely horrible. A
yeah,
lot of the things that happen to female wrestlers, it only gotten worse. And plus, it was also the '80s too, which just didn't help. anything at
Right.
all.
Right. So initially she was, I guess we go to her dating past. She was dating a wrestler named Dick Slater,
Hmm.
in which, there was a lot of rumors and a lot of, again, things going around saying that he was abusing her. Um, and I know the son, Van, said that this is the first quote unquote stepdad, but he said he doesn't remember seeing any abuse or anything like that. However, then we kind of move on to the marriage of between her and Tom Nash. Um, so this is where it got kind of weird and kind of crazy. And there was a little triangle, right? Little triangle,
Yeah.
little DDP diamond, right?
Okay,
So
not that far. I'm gonna.
okay, all
You're
right,
on thin ice with that comment right there.
been nice. All
Yeah.
right, I won't go any further. So Mr. Nash accused Dave. Right? Hi, I'm Dave. I'm no Dicky. Hi, I'm Dave. Who's Dave? Right? Who's Gangrel? Right?
That happened. I'm sorry.
Oh wow! Come on,
Yeah.
come on!
Yeah. I told you it's on thin ice.
Oh
I
my
did say
god!
that. You were warned.
So Dave Heath, also known as Gangrel, was accused of messing with Luna by Mr. Nash. Of course, she did bite him, which was kind of rough. So of course it would look like that, right? It's kind of like having the scratches on your back, right? Who did that? I know those scratches, right? But I already got a technical, so I got to, keep
Gotta
it
be
easy.
extra careful
Yeah, I got to
now.
be extra careful.
Yeah.
It's really early in the day.
You kind of walked into that one first.
But later on, she would go on and marry Gangrel. Actually, there was a big fight. Gangrel, beat up Tom pretty bad. The tag team was practically over, and she would go on and marry Gangrel, which is awesome. Um, then we move on. She finally gets her break. She's going to the WWF. She's gonna go and accompany Shawn Michaels. Right, this is huge.
Yep, WrestleMania 9 was her
Yeah,
debut.
this is huge. I mean, huge, huge, huge. They talk about WWF Raw, the video game,
Hmm.
which that was like so classic. I don't blame them for buying that particular console, specifically that game, because that game was pretty sweet.
It was really, really good.
But unfortunately, she got reduced to just a manager. But she could really wrestle. She could really go, and it kind of
Yeah.
stinks, especially to hear, from Medusa, which was awesome to see Medusa, of course, who we know can go.
Yeah, I
We
know.
knew, yeah,
Definitely
we
know.
knew that she could go,
Yes.
but we started seeing the growth of the female valet with, sensational Sherry. You obviously had
Who,
Luna.
let's not call her a slouch. Like, she's no slouch in the ring herself. She can also go.
She can go. And and Medusa during this time is like, hey, like, what the bleep? Like, we should be on the card. And I know she said we would be considered and more was the phrase she said, which stinks really bad, by the way.
Hmm.
So Luna's like, man, I'm out of here, man. They want me to take, no, I don't think they wanted her to take her clothes off at this particular point. I think that was a little later. Let me
Yeah,
get
that
let
was
me
a little
get
bit
back
later.
to this
That
here.
yeah,
So
yeah, you're about to get into Attitude
yeah,
Era, and
yeah, 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 yeah. So she joined ECW in the '90s, right, mid '90s and then '95, in which she highlighted with Mick Foley, and then she went ahead and beat the bleep out of Stevie Richards, which was a great cage match, which I'll probably go back and watch
hmm
on YouTube sometime today. But you could tell like she still loved the business. She looked healthy at that point. Like she looked like she was the weight was nice. It was a good kind of growth. Because most of the time when you see her, she's pretty slim. But she looked healthy at that point to me. But Obviously, there were some things going on. And then she returned back to the WWF, um, and it's
97.
very 97. It's very unfortunate she went back to being a valet. I think she was with Bam Bam Bigelow this time.
Which
Um,
I still really like that pairing.
yeah, that one was really, really good. I really enjoyed that one. I think she was with Gold Dust first, or was she would go first?
No, she was
Gold
a
Dust the
Bam
first
Bam
time,
first. She was a Bam
and
Bam
then Gold Dust.
first. Um, and yeah, so she was Bam Bam first. She bought his contract out to Ted DiBiase so he could join the Million Dollar Corporation. Then she became the valet for Goldust.
Gotcha. Okay. So
But that was
while she
like
was
in, I want to say
toward
like
the
the 2000s era,
that was
around
toward
that time.
the end.
Yeah.
So I didn't like the end of it, man. Her having to put Sable over, and now looking back at it, I kind of can see it. Like, hey, don't you dare touch Sable's face. Don't you dare touch Sonny's face. Um, you know, flash. Be more provocative. You know, flash those breasts, right? That's what the guys want to see. This is the attitude era, right?
Yikes. We're
Um,
definitely putting a warning on this episode.
I mean, this is what it was, though. This is not us. This is Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon. I mean, like this is what he wanted to do. Like this is what he wanted. So, to
I
me,
mean,
it's
it's not just what
it's.
she wanted, it's also what the people wanted.
I mean, I was pretty young, so to me, it was like I was getting whatever they were giving. Like that's what they're giving. That's what we're unfortunately taking, right?
Of course.
So, in my opinion, it's like it shouldn't have to go down like that. But putting Sable over and not even getting one offensive weapon in is just crazy to me. I could see why that really hurt her. Obviously, it's WrestleMania, and she had to put Sable over. But the problem was is that after the match, Vince didn't even really, acknowledge that she had a good
Oh,
match.
that's not even the part that I'm upset about. I mean, Vince does that all the time, first of all. I mean, first of all, shout outs to Owen Hart for,
Hmm.
giving her the kudos that she rightfully deserved. The fact that she was
Right.
threatened
Threatened
with
to not touch her face.
termination to not
Hmm.
hurt Sable, is this wrestling?
Right. Right. So in that
Because at
situation,
some point I forgot it was wrestling. Like it wasn't sports entertainment yet. It was still wrestling.
mm,
But maybe they was
yeah.
afraid that, Luna's gonna provide some receipts to Sable.
I mean, which is crazy now because you think about it, right? And fast forward, you have people going against Ronda Rousey, right? Yeah, people going against Ronda Rousey, and I'm sure Ronda had that same situation where it's like, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But then you look back and you see them, beating her with a kendo stick. So to me, it's like I'm kind of glad that the girls are a little tougher, and honestly, I think Luna would be well suited for the wrestling of today. And that's the part that stinks is that she didn't get a chance to see the wrestling of today because if she was able to see the wrestling of today, she would probably be training and she would be a fantastic trainer for the wrestling today on, not only character development, but actually training women to wrestle.
Yeah. And it's a shame she was only what 5 years away from the Bailey Sasha Banks match in NXT
Right,
Brooklyn,
right, exactly.
Takeover Brooklyn.
Hmm.
And she probably would have loved to seen that, to see the evolution
Right,
of women's wrestling. But
right,
a lot of female wrestlers also look up to Luna Vachon. They don't say it as much, but
right.
like there's a lot of influences from there.
No,
The
definitely.
character work, the ring work. Like there's so many female wrestlers in the past, and a lot of them, showed up during the episode that many of them look up to. It's just that no
Mhm.
one knows about them.
Right.
You
You
know,
only
and,
hear
and and
about
that's what I love about this series is you get introduced to wrestlers outside of your, comfort scope, so to
No
speak.
facts, big facts. I agree. I agree. But in this situation, I mean, unfortunately, on August 27th, 2010, she passed away at the age of 48. I like what Mick Foley said: "In a world full of butterflies, it took balls to be a caterpillar." And I thought that was amazing. Um, Gangrel obviously showing his regret, saying that he wish, he didn't divorce her, and he obviously felt it was selfish in some ways to get out of the relationship and look after himself. But he misses her, and again, even her son says, she never got a chance to meet his daughter, and it's just really sad the way it ended. Um, I love how the last part was that, you know, I think her funeral, because I think they might have skipped her funeral. She would have wanted to be pulled down the road by a biker gang, with fireworks going off, and her
Hmm.
son was like, "Nah, nah,
I mean,
nah." She wouldn't.
that's I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty
It
BA.
is. Her son was like, "Nah, nah, nah." She wouldn't want that. She would want it to be private and quiet, and she was a very private person. So,
Hmm.
unfortunately, we will not get that opportunity to know um, what it is because I mean, it's unfortunately over. But Johnny,
And we have two more episodes for this season.
exactly what I was about to say. Two more episodes should be some good ones, but we'll be back here mañana to go over the Monday night football matchup as well as the power rankings tomorrow. But I know you heard this podcast on your favorite podcast platform. But if you didn't, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com to hear this episode as well as all the previous. Be sure to tune in tomorrow again. We're going to cover, oh, Henry and the Titans beating up on the Buffalo Bills. Okay, I'm
I wouldn't
joking. They
say
didn't beat up
beating
on.
up on them, but
Okay, okay.
I
But
mean
tune in
that's going too
tomorrow.
far.
It's fine. But tune in tomorrow for more news, more analysis, and the reads.